Various civilizations have appeared and vanished since the appearance of humankind on Earth over 1 million years ago. As the 21st century approaches, drastic changes lie before us. Humankind is facing the choice of a new worldview for survival during the coming transitional period. Environmental pollution and social unease are spreading throughout competitive societies of the free world. The result is an increase in diseases of the modern world: cancer, AIDS, and chronic fatigue syndrome. These diseases are not curable with the technology of the current levels of medical science. The United States of America. The great nation of the United States, most renowned of all the developed nations of the world, is beset with various problems. The National Institutes of Health, Washington, D.C. This is the major nerve center for the study and research by American medical science into contemporary health problems. The Institute is a symbol of the high level and progress of American medical science. Vigorously adhering to the standards of science, the NIH has started a tentative survey of the various fields of alternative medicine for possible new answers to cancer and AIDS, other self-immune deficient illnesses, arthritis, and other chronic diseases. Alternative medicine refers to the various therapies that can be used in place of conventional medical practice, such as homeopathy, herbal medicine, electromagnetic therapies, visualization and imagery therapy, and various manipulative therapies. The annual meeting of the American Holistic Medical Association for 1993 was held here in Kansas City, Missouri. Researchers and practitioners of holistic medicine, those who are putting into practice combinations of alternative and conventional medical therapies, met to discuss their work and share new ideas through various lectures and workshops. Johrei was introduced to the medical profession for the first time in one of these workshops.
The originator of Johrei, Mokichi Okada, became aware of the advent of these changes, this revolution in world consciousness, and instituted Johrei, a science for the coming age.
I think you're in for an interesting time. This is a bicultural event and is unique.
Johrei has been practiced in the United States for 40 years. Dr. Andrew Weil, a Johrei channel as well as a medical doctor, recommended that Johrei be introduced at this annual meeting.
It was a very beautifully produced book. It was titled Light on Johrei. And the group that had published it hoped that I would give them a comment.
Dr. Weil gave a lecture titled The Future of Energy Medicine, in which he introduced some of the scientific research that has been conducted about Johrei.
Philosophy, which you will hear about today.
We can receive the energy of the higher self. So first we try to purify this forehead. And also on the forehead.
Over 100 persons attended this workshop where Johrei was given to all.
Mental, emotional body, and also physical body. So once you purify this part, the energy can really go through your whole body and try to purify the whole body. So please focus on the forehead.
I thought it was very impressive. This is my first experience. I knew absolutely nothing about it. And I think it's going to be a very useful tool to help people in healing. I was very impressed. Well, I think Dr. Weil was correct in saying that you have to do more scientific control studies to rule out the variables, you know, and to make sure that the results are coming from Johrei. And then the scientific community would probably accept it. They're always very doubtful, you know. So.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, during the Johrei treatment, I felt just sort of like I was relaxing and settling down. My breathing slowed markedly. I felt a warmth, and I could feel sort of an electrical energy flow where my partner's hand was located. And I admit, every once in a while, I would feel his hand move, and I'd open, you know, an eye just to check. And sure enough, you know, I always knew where he was. I'd asked him to focus on my left shoulder because I've been having a real tight, sore left shoulder. And I knew when he was working on it because it started to readjust. And I could feel the pain move and then localize, and at this point it's about 90% less than it was before the treatment. And I certainly feel very relaxed and alert.
After this introduction at the annual Holistic Health Meeting, another presentation of the scientific approach to Johrei was given at the Drew University of Medicine and Science, part of the UCLA medical facilities in Los Angeles. Natural killer cells are said to be indispensable in the healing of AIDS and cancer, and remarkable activation of these cells has been seen with Johrei. Dr. Mamdou Gonem, an authority on natural killer cells, gave a talk on Johrei.
The patient condition getting better and better and better.
30 persons in the medical field who gathered in a classroom on campus listened with great interest as Dr. Gonem and Dr. Yamamura described how these cells, so effective in fighting AIDS and cancer, are activated with Johrei. After the talk, the audience, along with Dr. Gonem, experienced Johrei.
I have received Johrei before, but I didn't realize exactly what was involved, and it was interesting hearing about the biological results of the Johrei and the fact that it does affect our natural killer cells. And when I felt the Johrei, I could feel the energy going in through right here. I could feel a tingling sensation. And then I felt heat, and I could feel it radiating down my body as he went down with his hand. And then it kind of just enveloped me completely, all the way down to my toes. And I could feel an interaction going on between us. And when he turned me around, I could feel a lot of heat in the back of me and pushing up on my head.
Johrei is a unique method, usually undertaken between two persons, for creating health, for activating the latent ability of the body's energy. This scientific study of Johrei was started to help further spread Johrei throughout the world. First, an experiment was conducted to determine the effect of Johrei on the brain waves. Sensors were placed on both the recipient and the channel. With the commencement of Johrei, changes in brain wave patterns were observed. Mid-alpha waves, indicative of the concentrated mental state, were measured in both the recipient and the channel. mind experiments were set up to determine if there were any mental or suggestive effects. It was shown that the commencement of mid-alpha brain waves occurred simultaneously. Also, in psychological tests held before and after Johrei, reduction in the levels of anxiety to more peaceful levels of both the recipient and channel were shown. Next, immune experiments were conducted based on the premise that when the brain waves are stabilized in a good mental state with Johrei, the body's immune system is activated and can protect the body against disease. Recent advances in psychoneuroimmunology have shown that the immune system may be controlled from the brain to some extent. When germs and viruses, the cause of many diseases within the body, invade the body, the immune system picks them up and starts to eliminate them.
So you have to examine also your immune system, and if it goes down...
Dr. Gonem is interested in Johrei from the viewpoint of psychoneuroimmunology. He postulates that Johrei acts on the brain to stimulate emotional ease, which influences the immune system and heightens the natural curative powers. Dr. Gonem began experiments to explore the relationship between Johrei and the activation of the natural killer cells. Under Dr. Gonem's guidance and with the cooperation of the Los Angeles Johrei Center, experiments were carried out to compare the differences, if any, of the destructive power of the natural killer cells over cancer between those who practiced Johrei and those forming a control group who do not practice Johrei. For testing, Dr. Gonem picked out 14 persons who are Johrei practitioners and 14 control subjects. To equalize the conditions, he chose Johrei and control subjects of age and sex matched between 25 and 40 years of age, and had the subjects refrain from smoking, drinking alcohol, or taking any drugs, all agents that are known to have an effect on the immune system. Blood samples were drawn from all the subjects. Blood was overlaid, centrifuged for 45 minutes at 1400 RPM, and the layer containing peripheral blood lymphocytes isolated, washed, and counted. The blood samples were dialyzed and cleaned, and then the natural killer cells were isolated.
And we have different lines.
Cancer cells, preserved at 37 degrees, the same temperature as that of the human body, were placed together with the natural killer cells taken from the subject's blood. These samples were placed in an incubator at the same 37 degrees temperature for 4 hours, after which it was observed what percent of the cancer was killed by the natural killer cells of each subject.
Cells were killed. In the highest concentration here, you have 14.3%.
Hi, my name is Mamdou Gonem. I am Associate Professor and the Chief of Research at the Department of Otolaryngology, Drew University of Medicine and Science, Los Angeles, California. My main interest is to examine natural killer cell activity in cancer patients and viral infected people. Why I am interested about these cells, which are called natural killer cells? Natural killer cells are representing 10% of your white blood cells, peripheral blood lymphocytes. And they are considered to be the first line of defense against cancer and the viral infected cells. These cells are capable to recognize and bind to the tumor cells and kill them within 5 minutes. As you see it here, the tumor cell is almost destroyed, and natural killer cell is still alive. So you can see the difference between a live tumor cell and dead tumor cell. This is the remnants of the tumor cell. Natural killer cell after that detach itself from the dead tumor and recognize and bind it to new tumor cell. We call recycling and repeat the job. Cancer patients and the viral infected people has serious problem that natural killer cells are there in their bodies, but they are not functioning. They cannot do their job because they are weak. They cannot kill the cancer cell. That is why the cancer is growing every day, and they finally kill the host. Similarly, with its patients, other kind of viruses, the virus increasing and replicating more and more, and finally the immune system is crippled and the patient is dying. We are interested in the last few years, as well as many thousands of scientists and researchers and doctors, to find a biological response modifier, PRM, which is able to enhance or augment natural killer cell activity. So they will be able to do their job and destroy the cancer cell or viral infected cells. Several biological response modifiers have been examined, for example, interferon, interleukin-2, BCG, Corynebacterium parvum, and many others. Unfortunately, all of these biological response modifiers have severe side effects. For example, the best known of these biological response modifier called interleukin-2, and this is the most recently discovered one. This one can cause kidney failure, kill the host, or can cause a mysterious disease called capillary leaking syndrome, and many other effects shared with interferon, like nausea, vomiting, and others. We are interested to find a new PRM, biological response modifier, which are capable to stimulate the immune system in general and the natural killer cell in particular, without side effects. And we were lucky to find Johrei doing this job. Johrei, we examined natural killer cell activity in 14 Johrei people and compare it with age-matched controls. And we found a significant enhancement of natural killer cell activity in Johrei people, which almost 2 to 3-fold increase as compared to control subject. This is percent of control. So assuming that control subjects are 100%, we can see Johrei people increased 2.5-fold or even exceeded 3-fold in natural killer cell activity. It was of interest for us to examine whether or not only the quality of natural killer cell, but also the quantity have been shown to be increased by Johrei. This is the natural killer cell percentage of control subjects, 8.8%, while Johrei people have 17% natural killer cell percentage. So Johrei increased natural killer cell qualitatively and quantitatively. Further studies are needed to examine the mechanism by which Johrei enhances natural killer cell activity. For example, signal transduction. Does Johrei increase the cell receptors of natural killer cell, or increase intracellular calcium, or increase a specific enzyme called protein kinase C, which all of these components play a crucial role for release of the granules from natural killer cells. These granules contain toxic material, and they are located in the cytoplasmic portion of natural killer cell. They inject it inside the tumor cell and destroy the tumor cell right away. I see another aspect which encourage everybody to work with Johrei is that the cost itself. The cost of other biological response modifier is very high. For example, cancer patients have to pay $100,000 for one treatment of interleukin-2. Johrei doesn't cost you anything. So has no side effects, has no cost, and significantly increased natural killer cell activity. In fact, 2 out of these 14 Johrei people which participated in the study giving us a killing of 92%. Means natural killer cell activity is 92, means they, NK cell, are capable to destroy 92 cancer cells out of 100 within 3 hours. So I'm very interested about this field, and we will be more interesting to examine further studies regarding does Johrei directly affect natural killer cells or indirectly through brain stimulation, which subsequently affect natural killer cells. Thank you very much.
One characteristic of the natural killer cells is that they are able to act independently of the immune system, locate alien bodies themselves, and then eliminate the cancer cells or virus-infected cells. If this is true, then we can postulate that natural killer cells that have been strengthened by Johrei will reverse the deterioration of the immune system from cancer and AIDS syndrome, which are in danger of ending human life. AIDS, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, is threatening society, and it is the HIV virus which spreads AIDS. The HIV virus has various ways of entering the human body, but once inside, it first attacks the helper T cells, focal points or commanders of the immune system. Hostage to the HIV virus, the helper T cells cease functioning. Because other immune cells do not receive nutrients from T cells, they cease functioning as well. The body is left defenseless and opens the door widely for many germs to enter the body. The body's immune cells are paralyzed. Cancer cells increase throughout the body to the point where life is threatened. This is where the natural killer cells, which are seen as the main pillar of defense against HIV infection, appear. The existence of natural killer cells has only been recognized since 1974, and there is much that is still not known about them. They seek out the cancer cells and virus-infected cells and destroy them without harming the surrounding normal cells. As the natural killer cells attack the abnormal cells that are expanding within the immune-deficient environment and slowly eliminate them, the helper T cells slowly begin to revive their commanding functions. The body thus regains its immune system. One of Johrei's abilities to activate the body's immune powers was measured in these experiments. Conventional medicine does not hold that the emotional aspect of the human can influence to any significant degree the physical, heighten the immune system, and strengthen the body's natural restorative powers. It seeks to halt the spread of virus and cure cancer by material means, such as medicines and vaccines. Through these experiments, it was supposed that through Johrei, a stable emotional condition was created whereby a healthful lifestyle could be led every day. And as one way of overcoming difficult diseases, the activation of natural killer cells could be measured. From these results, it's thought possible that difficult diseases can be treated through the power of nature with Johrei by unifying the body and spirit and letting the body's latent power manifest. Let's look at some of the interesting results that have come from using Johrei in medical therapies. Miss Kimio Tokunaga of Yamaguchi. In July 1987, at the age of 18, Miss Tokunaga was diagnosed with nephrotic syndrome. In and out of the hospital, she had to take 3 kinds of medicines. By April 1988, her body was terribly bloated and her weight had climbed to 95 kilograms. It was at this time that the Tokunaga family heard of Johrei. Starting in August, Kimio received Johrei 10 times daily, and on the 1st and 2nd of November, 3 months after the start of Johrei, she lost over 50 kilograms of fluid from both her legs, and her weight went down 43 kilograms.
私はこのネフローゼ症候群という病気を通じて条例を知りました。たくさんの人たちから条例を受けることによって心が変わり、病気も良くなっていきました。今はこんなに元気になりました。条例をしてくださったたくさんの人たちに感謝の気持ちでいっぱいです。この気持ちを大事にしていきたいと思います。
Eric Roth is presently a member of the Southwest Johrei Center. In 1991, a malignant tumor was found in his brain, and he shortly lost most of the basic functions of language. At one point, he retained only the ability to speak about 50 words. As a result of continuous Johrei, the tumor in his brain has shrunk, his linguistic functions are returning, and at present, his speech is almost normal.
My name is Eric Roth, and I had a brain tumor in October of 1991. But I went to Japan, and I received the Johrei on Meisha-sama's birthday from Nakahara Sensei. And from that time on, I knew that I was cured, because she said to me, well, she said about 15 minutes after the Johrei started, she said, well, it looks like you're going to be cured, but you should take it easy, and you need to take a couple of years. I came back on January 1st of 92, and then February 16th, I had another MRI, and that one showed the decrease from about that big. It was maybe half the size of that, maybe really small, and I'm grateful for that.
I've talked with Eric Roth and have looked over his MRI scans and talked to his neurosurgeon in California, and I think this case is very interesting, very unusual. Apparently, Eric had a large tumor in the left frontal lobe of the brain, and this tumor over a relatively short period of time shrank and then disappeared. And this is a very unusual result. Tumors of this kind do not usually disappear. The doctors have no explanation for it. It's a little complicated in that Eric also has an inherited disease that has affected his bones and liver, and no one knows if there's any relationship between that disease and what happened in his brain. And also, there is no tissue biopsy of the tumor to be exactly sure what type it is, but from its appearance on the x-rays, it appears to be a common type of tumor, and the tumor just does not normally behave this way. So I think Eric is very fortunate, and he originally, this tumor, because of the pressure in the brain, was causing a lot of problems in his ability to speak, and that has come back to a great extent. The only treatment that Eric has been Johrei. So I think this is one of the most interesting documented cases I've seen of effect of Johrei on health.
Practice of Johrei can show physiological effect by making up for the deficient elements in conventional medical science. The experiments from many different angles on the immune system in the U.S. and the psychological tests and clinical experiments in hospitals in Japan show Johrei in a scientific light and are advancing research in the holistic manner on the human being, its health and nature, providing new hints for medical treatment and human health.
How do you feel about that?
I feel excellent about this. As you know, our paths have followed. So it may be that what we need to be doing more than
Dr. Larry
anything
Dossey,
is focusing
along
on
with
the
Dr.
practice of
Andrew
making
Weil,
yourself real
is an
and
authority on
demonstrated.
holistic medicine and quite understanding of Johrei. In describing the various therapies available to humankind today, Dr. Dossey describes how they relate to the new epoch of medical science that is upon us.
One way of doing this is to go back in history at the time medicine began to become scientific. This was in the mid to late 1800s, maybe around 1860, 1870. So beginning at that time, the first historic era of medicine came into being. We can call this Era 1 medicine, and it's mechanical medicine. Everything we did then began to resemble what was the mechanical outlook in physics. So what kind of therapies are in Era 1? Mechanical things such as the use of medications or drugs, the use of surgical procedures, the use of irradiation, and so on. And so obviously Era 1 is still with us. We use a lot of those things still. But beginning about 50 years ago, another era began to develop. And I want to call this Era 2 medicine. Today we call this mind-body medicine. This was called psychosomatic medicine 50 years ago. Now, mind-body medicine, or Era 2 medicine, occurs whenever an individual uses his or her thoughts, emotions, attitudes, perceptions in a positive way to influence his or her health of his or her own particular body. This is called a local kind of approach. We assume that the consciousness is localized in that person's brain and permeates the body and makes, hopefully, healthful changes. That's the mind-body approach. Now, there is another era, however, that is emerging now, and I believe that Johrei fits into this era, this third era of medicine, and I want to call this non-local medicine. This is Era 3, and there is a lot of research telling us that we have to come forth and begin to speak about this new era of medicine. This era of medicine speaks of the use of the consciousness of an individual not only to make good changes and healthful changes in that person's body, but the ability of that person to use his or her consciousness to affect someone at a distance. Now, there is all kinds of data supporting this kind of event. And I want to emphasize that the reasons for talking about this era 3 medicine, is basically science. We have scientific experiments showing, I think, beyond question, beyond reasonable doubt, that when you have a compassionate, caring, loving attitude towards somebody who may be at a distance, that person's physiology, their health, can change for the better. Most religions throughout the world have always honored this possibility. They call it prayer. You pray for someone at a distance, that person's health can change, even though they do not know they're being prayed for. And it doesn't matter how far away they are. This is what we call non-local medicine, the ability of the consciousness to escape the confines of the brain and the body and to reach out non-locally through space and time to make a difference. Now, one thing different from what we're talking about here and the religious perspective or viewpoint is that we have something that the religions have never had. We have science. We have laboratory experiments showing that this event happened and that it can be very, very important for health. And in my way of thinking, this is a great contribution that Johrei type experiments can make, because what you're doing is you're separating people at a distance, and you're showing that when one person sends healing to a distant person, that person's physiology changes for the better. And you're looking at this with immune changes in the body and various other aspects of physiological change. And so I want to emphasize the importance of doing these kinds of experiments.
The power to maintain health, prevent disease, and cure is just one of the many latent powers possessed by human beings that is now being released. Johrei is a method that brings out and manifests the latent, limitless possibilities that reside within the human body and spirit. Johrei will prove to be an effective means of manifesting human potential in more and more fields. Johrei's effectiveness is being demonstrated scientifically in the therapy and health fields, and its results will also become evident in the home, school, business, and sports. Johrei does not require special training. Through its simple and repeated practice in daily life, we can uncover the wonderful potential of humans and thus bring about happiness and prosperity. Scientific study will continue to show more of the marvelous results that can be had through the practice of Johrei.